What is up, YouTube? It's Kingfisher745, and there is a brand new Special Operations. In this video, we're going to take a look at Special Operations 11 and all of the new updates. This is just a first look and a little bit of comments on everything. With this new update, they decided to re-release the chess set. So they have the Bishop, the Rook, the Knight, and the Pawn on sale. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick look at each of these weapons, and I'll let you know what I think about them. First, there's the Bishop. It hits one enemy, it has a chance to perform a counterattack when attacked, it restores stamina, and it provides ammunition for the Rook. Now this goes very well with the Knight, which we'll go ahead and focus on in one moment after we look at the Rook. The Rook does pretty good damage and it fires until ammunition is depleted. So you want to go ahead and get as much ammunition as you can, and it will keep follow-up attacking. Now the Knight is probably my favorite part of the set. It has a chance to perform a counterattack, and it protects against single target attacks. It also causes radiation exposure. Now if you go ahead and protect with the Knight, you'll counterattack with it, and you may also counterattack with the Bishop. And lastly, we have the Pawn, which is a quick action. It increases defense when attacked, it provides ammunition for the Rook, and a shield. So that also goes with the protect status, since you will keep gaining higher levels of defense when you're attacked, and then you will be able to counterattack. So it's actually a pretty good set. I myself won't be purchasing any of this set, but that's because I don't really have the gold to do so. If you do, then you can go ahead and try it out. I really think it could do pretty well, especially if you don't have certain items like the Hot Shot or anything like that. I would actually have a tough time replacing my items. So that's why I'm going to have to pass on buying those items. Now let's take a look at the task list items. First, there's the Soul Jar. This is going to be the first research. Next, we have the Trident. The Trident is upgradable, it exploits soul fire, and it causes bleeding. And it looks like it does pretty good damage, so I'm interested to see what the upgraded versions do. Now the very next part of this task list shows the name of one of the upgraded Tridents. It's called the Netheranium Trident, and then it has a research as well. So you can go ahead and look at the final version of this item in the research lab. Next, we have the most interesting item on this task list, and that's the Chalice of Souls. It's a buff on one ally. It is a quick action. It says Phylactery brings the agent back to life before this character's first action. It also has Dark Bargain. If agent has slowed, applies rebuff to an ally. So beneficial status effects will not be removed by enemy attacks or harmful status effects. It causes dizzy on the agent, and then it has rebuff. Beneficial status effects will not be removed. So that will work for yourself, and if you have slowed, it applies it to an ally. So this is absolutely phenomenal. I've been wanting something that would cast rebuff on your agent, but this also has a chance to provide it to an ally. This item has the potential to make so many more combinations viable in PvP. And the other crazy thing about this was I kind of predicted this. I was having a conversation with someone on Facebook, and I said that they needed to have a weapon or item that applied rebuff, and they needed to make it easy to get. Then they asked me, what did I mean by make it easy to get? And I said, well, they should make it as a task list item. And here it is. I absolutely cannot believe it. But I'm really excited about this Spec Ops. And the final reward is Damon Hellstrom, and he is a blaster. He also has two passives, Dark Soul, reduces damage taken from damage over time effects, and while burning is applied, he counterattacks with fire damage, and when he has Dark Void, his attacks restore health. He also has Netheranium Spire, so he has a 50% chance to nullify magic attacks against all allies, and he restores stamina and gains burning and Dark Void after nullifying a magic attack. So right off the bat, we can see this guy is vicious against anyone who uses magic attacks. And we will take a look at his abilities right after we look at these weapons that are provided from the missions. First, we're going to take a look at Mimic, which drops off the Taskmaster in Mission 1 of Spec Ops 11. Mimic hits one enemy, and it provides photographic reflexes, which says protects allies from single target or area attacks, and gains a turn and absorbs the positive aspects of the target's class when protecting. Now at first glance this item looked absolutely phenomenal, but I have heard that it's just a chance to protect, and also I believe you have to attack with the weapon to gain photographic reflexes. You don't already automatically have it. And once again, I am going just off of a forum post on that, so I'm not sure. But either way, this could be a really good weapon. I'm definitely looking forward to getting it. Next we have the Brute. It has Despair, so it removes and prevents resurrection effects while active, and it prevents most healing while active. It causes Rapid Psychosis, which reduces all stats, deals damage, and intensifies, but it can be cured by resting with Recharge. Still, this thing is awesome, and I'm really liking it since there's a lot of Phoenix teams out there, and Despair will definitely come in handy. Lastly, we have the Crooked Grin. It causes hemorrhaging attacks, so it causes all bleeding to trigger. Then it has Desperation Attack, so the lower the character's health, the more damage this attack does. It also causes bleeding, so it could be pretty good on a team with bleeding. Now let's go ahead and take a look at Damon Hellstrom and his abilities. There he is a blaster, he's in his modern costume, and we already took a look at his passives. But like I said, he's pretty interesting, and I think he's going to be a good character. Damon is especially interesting since you want to have Burning and Dark Void on him, and his abilities actually apply it to him. The best way to get it though would be to go ahead and nullify a magic attack, and then you just gain both of them at the same time. Obviously, this depends on whether or not your opponents have magic attacks or magic items. But anyways, on to his first ability, From Hell's Heart. It hits one enemy, it applies Soulfire, and it also applies Burning to Damon Hellstrom. So that's how he gains Burning. Now we're going to move on to his level 2 ability, which is called Cloaked in Shadows. And Cloaked in Shadows is a buff that's on all allies. It gives Dark Soul, or applies Dark Void to Damon Hellstrom, but the buff is absolutely amazing. It gives you a 50% chance to avoid attacks, and attacks become stealthy for the entire party. I can just imagine my whole party having stealthy attacks. On top of that, a 50% chance to avoid. And you could pair him with someone like Phantom X, and you'd have absolutely crazy evasion. You'd be avoiding just about everything. I know this buff can be removed, but what if you get that item, the Chalice, and then you have rebuff on Damon Hellstrom as well as on your agent? That's just one scenario where two of your characters would be almost impossible to hit. But I am aware of guaranteed hit items and things like that out there. So I mean, that's not entirely true, but I still think that could be a really amazing combination. I'm looking forward to trying it out. His level 6 ability actually summons a succubus. It's subtle, and then a succubus has a 70% chance of mind control on all enemies. So it's pretty sweet, and as you get Dark Void and Burning, you unlock more powerful summons. So the succubus will come out and she'll actually do something different. At least that's what happened when I used him in the mission as a team-up. I'm not sure if he summons anything besides the succubus, but I think they just come out and they have different abilities depending on what debuffs you have on Damon. Now moving on to his level 9 ability, it is Purifying Flames. And it's a magic heal on one ally. Then it restores health each turn for 2 rounds, it removes and prevents debuffs, but it does not remove Burning or Dark Void from Damon Hellstrom. So this is a pretty sweet heal, especially since it removes and prevents debuffs. And it also restores health each turn. And if Damon Hellstrom wasn't enough, they also released a new lockbox character. It is Satana, and she is an infiltrator. And I think it was about time we got a new infiltrator. But anyway, she has a few passives. First she has Dark Pact, raises stats when affected by Dizzy, Exposed, Slowed, or Weakened. And she has Sinful Thoughts, chance to gain Sin when attacking, increases damage done while affected by Sin, and chance to apply Soulfire on all attacks while affected by Bane. And then of course she is a flyer, so she's immune to ground attacks. And we'll talk a little bit more about Dark Pact in a second here. But let's move on to her abilities. First, there's Fiery Fists. It puts Withered on the opponent, which reduces damage done by 10% and can be stacked 3 times. It also applies Sin to Satana and Slowed to all allies. and it is a melee unarmed fire magic attack. So since it's melee unarmed, I'm pretty sure it's going to gain a buff from Juggernaut, which could be interesting. Next we have the Fires of Hell. It hits all enemies, it causes Bane to all enemies, and meld armor, and it applies Bane to Satana and Dizzy to all allies. So that's pretty interesting. And then next we have Enthralled Guardian, Bound Blade. So Bound Blade would be what they would cast, I believe, if you had none of those debuffs on Satana. But it is stealthy. It exploits protection, causes cornered, exposed to allies, and if you have Bane and Sin, it unlocks more powerful summons. So if you have those debuffs, they will cast something even better. And then lastly, she has Soul Kiss. It has Brutal Strike, so damage cannot be prevented by resurrection effects. Fatal Blow, defeats normal enemies with less than 30% health. Soul Drain, restores a small amount of health, and restores more health when an enemy dies from this attack. It also applies Weaken to all allies. So as you can see, she applies debuffs to every one of your allies. And so that must mean the Dark Pact applies to everyone. And that says raises stats when affected by Dizzy, Exposed, Slowed, or Weakened. So that has to go for your whole team. Otherwise, why would you want to apply those debuffs to them? These two characters look really good, and hopefully they provide some variety to the PvP scene. So I definitely look forward to getting both of these characters. And I will keep you updated as I go through the process. So stay tuned to task lists, group boss, and more. And as always, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos.